Good morning. Thank you to everyone who's come today. We appreciate your participation in today's kickoff event. This morning we are kicking off North Carolina's annual Booze It and Lose It campaign. We're here at the Onslow County Public Safety Memorial, and we picked this location deliberately because the issue of impaired driving runs deeply in this community. More deeply probably for the sheriff's office than most, because one of the first deputy sheriffs that were killed in the line of duty in Onslow County was killed by an impaired driver, Deputy Jerry Van Barber. And unfortunately, more recently, we continue to have deputy sheriffs that are victims of impaired driving. Up until last week, we had a deputy sheriff who had stopped an impaired driver and subsequently was rear-ended. We've had deputies on our impaired driving task force hit by drunk drivers. We've had deputies on patrol hit by drunk drivers, and this problem is prevalent and it's persistent. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our first speaker of the morning, District Attorney Ernie Lee, who would say a few words, and then he'll be followed by Colonel Sean George of the Onslow County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. As District Attorney, it's my privilege to be here this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of the 2022 Booze It and Lose It campaign. We're all very aware of the consequences of driving while impaired offenses on the offenders. Suspended license, fines and court costs, assessments, community service, interlocks, limited driving privileges, insurance costs, attorney's fees, jail or prison time, loss of employment or career, tolls on the offenders' families. All those things are truly real. Those are the reasons that affect the defendant, the impaired driver, but the tolls and the effects on society, the public, and victims are just as real. Over 10,000 Americans each year are killed by drunk drivers. About 300,000 each year are injured in alcohol-related offenses. But behind every statistic, there's a real person. Let me give you one of those names that is a real person who was killed by an impaired driver. On August 19th, 1996, on a Sunday evening, an individual was driving from Wilson, North Carolina to Jacksonville while he was impaired. The reason he was driving to Jacksonville is because he had an impaired driving charge pending in court the next day in Onslow County. He had a long record for DWI convictions. His name is Chauncey Marshburn, but that's not even important as to who he was. While driving while impaired, he crashed into another vehicle, and the driver in that vehicle was at a Pizza Hut near Highway 17 near downtown Jacksonville. This driver was a retired United States Marine who had just started a Pizza Hut delivery to help earn extra income to support his wife and newly adopted child and support their other children. This individual's name was Vincent Richmond. That name is important, Vincent Richmond. I tried that case. I saw the devastation caused to his wife and to his family. A retired Marine who was senselessly killed by a drunk driver. The jury found the defendant guilty of second-degree murder and habitual driving while impaired and received a minimum of 24 years in the North Carolina Department of Correction. This is just one case of the many that have been prosecuted in this district involving impaired drivers who have killed innocent persons. And each of these innocent persons was a real person who was raised by parents, had gone to school, had gotten a job or joined the military, or married and had children. Each one had a name, had lives to live and dreams fulfilled that were taken away from them. So for those who may not believe that DWIs are that serious or have consequences, whether those are persons who choose to drink and drive or persons who are part of the criminal justice system in any capacity, I remind you of the name Vincent Richmond. And you can insert tens of thousands of names who have been the victims of impaired driving. Driving while impaired is serious. Driving while impaired is a menace to innocent drivers. Driving while impaired can be deadly. Driving while impaired is preventable because every impaired driver chooses to get behind the wheel. Driving while impaired is a crime. I support the officers, deputies, and state troopers who patrol our streets protecting our citizens from others who are driving while impaired and who are enforcing the Booze It and Lose It campaign. My office and I will continue to support law enforcement. We will continue to support the enforcement of the driving while impaired offenses in this district because these were enacted by the North Carolina General Assembly, and that's what the majority of citizens of North Carolina want. They want tough enforcement on driving while impaired. Thank you to law enforcement, to the Onslow County Sheriff's Office, to the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, and to all the other law enforcement agencies that enforce the laws of this state. May God bless the great state of North Carolina and law enforcement throughout this state.
Good morning. As stated already a couple of times this morning, begins North Carolina's annual holiday Booze It and Lose It campaign. The Sheriff's Office is proud to host this event and to be a leader in moving our state closer to the Vision Zero goal of eliminating roadway fatalities in this state. The campaign runs from December 12th to January 1st, during which law enforcement partners across the state will be doubling their efforts to apprehend impaired drivers and further traffic safety in Onslow County and the state of North Carolina. 2022 is shaping up to be the worst year for Onslow in over a decade. As of the end of November, we've lost 31 lives to traffic crashes, and we've yet to enter one of the deadliest months of the year. Onslow, on average, experiences nearly 3 fatal crashes every Christmas season. In Onslow County, 14 people were killed during December over the last 5 years. During last year's holiday Booze It and Lose It campaign, Onslow County law enforcement arrested 69 people for impaired driving. Through our partnership with other agencies across the county, the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, forensic tests for alcohol, and the Governor's Highway Safety Program, your Sheriff's Office will continue to build on the success of our new traffic safety initiatives. Our DWI unit has arrested over 1,200 impaired drivers and continues to work to take impaired drivers off the roadway. This morning, we're also excited to announce our newest traffic safety initiative, a $25,000 grant for the North Carolina's Governor's Highway Safety to provide overtime for deputy sheriffs. This holiday Booze It and Lose It, the Sheriff's Office will be deploying additional deputies during statistically determined areas and times. We encourage drivers never to drink and drive. Call a cab, phone a friend, or app a ride. There is no reason for anyone to drive impaired this Christmas season. Thank you.